Hey guys, POE.Gamer here. This is the second video of our series for POE.trade, and last week we talked about just like the kind of basics, the intros into how to use POE.trade's website, and kind of like the nuts and bolts and how everything works and how to fill out the form as is. And this week we're going to get into a little bit more of the elaborate stuff. Such as using POE.trade to look for things that can be master crafted to fit your criteria, not just what your criteria is, if that makes sense. And I'll show you here. This pair of boots that I have currently right here, they're decent. They have what I need. I'm resist capped and everything, but what I don't like about them is I only have 15% movement speed. I can get another 15% movement speed on them because they go up to 30%, and I can also get a little bit more max life. And then hopefully more evasion rating. We can see here 250 is not much, especially when we're using Queen of the Forest. We want as much evasion as we can for more movement speed. And so let's put these boots into our POE.trade form over here. We're going to be looking for 4 mods, so add 4 things. We're looking for life, so type in life, click maximum life. Next thing we're doing is looking for fire resistance. And we need a minimum of, we'll type the item in as it sits, and then we'll kind of tweak the form, as we go, because it's kind of a process to look for upgrades. It's not as simple as some may think. It takes a lot of min-maxing. If you really want to have all of your gear cohesively work together, sure, you can just slap stats in there and just buy a pair of boots for a chaos, but they might be armor evasion and they might be energy shield evasion. They're probably not the best pair of boots. Maybe statistics they are, or stat-wise they are, but not, maybe your armor type that actually, for your overall character, works out well for you. That's what we're going to look for. We need 32 lightning resistance, and we want 30 movement speed. So for this, I'll change this to 30 movement speed. And then the rest of the stats are, this is kind of like the pair of boots that are a direct upgrade without looking at anything else. So hit search, and of course, always sort by currency, because you want the cheap boots at the bottom, because you're already looking at what you want. You don't need to look through all the expensive boots, because you're looking at exactly the pair of boots that fit your criteria. Except for, as I mentioned before, we're getting energy shield boots with no evasion on them. So what we'll do is we'll put a minimum of 100 evasion, and that should eliminate some of the boots that we see. And again, sorted by currency, and we've got this pair of boots here for 10 chaos, and they've got 216 evasion. They've got the max life we're looking for, the fire and the lightning. That's all good. 30 movement speed, of course. Now the nice thing about POE.trade is they recently added these little P's and S's. And what that means is these are prefixes and these are suffixes. So P for prefix, S for suffix, real simple. And all that means is that's an affix on the piece of gear, and that's just a stat essentially. Every line you see on a piece of gear, so global crit strike multiplier, that's an affix, and same for reduced enemy threshold and more unarmed physical damage. Those are all affixes, and they're broken down into prefixes and suffixes. So we look on these pair of boots. You'll see something interesting. You'll see question marks. I'm like, what the fuck is that? If it's not a prefix and if it's not a suffix, what is it? Well, most likely it's either a hybrid roll or it is a roll that can roll on each prefix or a suffix. Rarity is like the most common thing. The nice thing is in order to figure this out, there are methods. There's this website called POEaffix.net. And what this allows you to do is this allows you to pick the piece of gear you're looking at. That's what all of this is. This is all just piece of gear, so you know what type of gear you're looking for, so you can kind of look to see what affixes can roll on that piece of gear. So we're looking for straight evasion. That's what we want. So on the left-hand side, it shows over here, these are your prefixes. And on the right-hand side, these are your suffixes. I don't know why there's no FIX. Ask the website designer. It bugs me. I'm sorry, but it bugs me enough to say it in the video. Anyways, so what we can do is we could say, okay, percentage evasion rating. Well, percentage evasion rating is clearly a prefix, but why is it a question mark? You look at the other question mark thing, and you're like, okay, well, stun recovery. And you see here, evasion and stun recovery is a hybrid roll. Now the cool thing is you can have a hybrid roll and you can have the invasion roll, or evasion roll, not invasion. You can have the evasion roll. And what that allows you to do is that it allows you to get more evasion, because they can stack. Because this can only go up to a certain amount. When you click on each item or each affix in the list here, it actually shows you the range of what they roll, because there's tiers of what they roll. So the max tier is 121 to 132, and it's called Mirage. The names don't really matter, unless you're like a heavy crafter and you're looking at pieces of gear that you can like kind of spot right on the ground. Like, oh, that's a Mirage, and whatever the max life thing's called, athletes, I think, for boots. It doesn't really matter. You don't need to know this. Some people do. They take pride in knowing what every tier is called. I personally don't. You decide what you want to be. But yeah, that's what we want to know. And also, just so you know, certain tiers can only roll at certain item levels. That's why higher item level gear is desired. So looking at the item level does actually kind of matter. So item level 77 means that this can only roll Nightmare tier, which is also tier 2. I like to prefer them as tier 1, tier 2, all the way up to tier whatever, 10 probably. It starts from the bottom. This is tier 1, and then goes all the way up to the top. So 1, 2, 3. 6, 7, 9. So this is tier 9 if you had 3 to 11, or I'm sorry, 11 to 28%. So what we're looking at is how many prefixes and how many suffixes it has. Well, if you look, it has 1, 2, and then we know that this is a prefix, so that's 3, and then 3 prefixes and 3 suffixes. That's all it can have. It can only have 6 properties unless it's corrupted or a hybrid roll. So sure, this has 7 lines on it, but since this is a hybrid roll, that only counts as 1. And by the way, if you click on things in POE.trade, it actually sorts it from top to bottom what the best result is to the bottom of the result. That's what I keep doing. I keep clicking the hybrid rolls and it keeps trying to sort it. Anyways, so this pair of boots here, we're looking at everything looks good except for 10 chaos for 216 evasion. It's pretty much the mirror of our boots, and it's like I'd say it's a direct upgrade. It has more of everything than our boots have, except for maybe evasion. No, yeah, so we have a little bit more evasion. So we would be trading like 50 evasion or 40 evasion for 15% movement speed, which isn't too bad. But for 10 chaos, I don't know. It seems kind of steep. They're not socketed. They're not linked. That's going to take currency. So I think for 10 chaos, that's a little rough. So what we can do though, this is a great thing. You do click show your search form again. What we can do is we can search for either a prefix or a suffix that we can craft on there that'll fulfill the stat that we need. So you look at your gear and you're like, okay, well for fire resistance, how much fire resistance do I really need to max my fire resistance? So you check your character, you're like, okay, in my hideout I'm at 146, I know that 135 is the max, so I'm 11 over. These have 21 fire resistance, so theoretically I only need 10 fire resistance, which can be crafted. You come over to your crafter dude, and you scroll down to the suffixes portion, which is typically always at the bottom, and you look, you said, okay, fire, I can craft 21 to 25 or 26 to 30. I'm covered. So we go back to our search form and we say, okay, well, if I can craft that, get rid of it. Because what we can do is we can find a pair of boots that has these 3 desired stats, these required stats, and we know that as long as we can find a pair of boots with an open suffix, we can craft that suffix onto those boots, and normally it brings up more results because you're less strict on the pair of boots. And normally you can also find a pair of boots that are way cheaper. A lot of people don't know about master crafting. And if they do know about it, they don't know it enough to make an item more desirable, make an item more expensive. So again, sort. Suffixes. So we count. There's 3 suffixes. We cannot have it. We count here as well. This one's all kind of fuckery. Like I said before, when you have... Okay, so no, we can figure this out. This is 3 suffix, 3 prefix. It just looks fuckery, because there's like 3 question marks. It doesn't know what's going on. So you look and you're like, okay, evasion rating. We know evasion rating and stun recovery. We know that's 1 prefix. And then rarity can be a prefix or a suffix. If you go back to the chart here, increased rarity here, and increased rarity here. If it has an open suffix or a prefix, say it has two prefixes, two suffixes, and then a rarity, and you can't figure out what the rarity is, if it's a prefix or a suffix, there is somewhat of a way. When you click on rarity, it has a chance of roll. The rarity for the prefix is 13 to 18, but the rarity for the suffix is 11 to 14. Above 14, we know for sure that it is a prefix. If not, then it's kind of hard to tell. You can just ask the person if you can craft lightning on it, and that's it. But so we look here, so we know that because it already has three prefixes, we can just say, boom, that's a suffix. That's all we need to know. There's 1, 2, and then the hybrid roll 3. So we keep going. This pair of boots here, this has two prefixes, two suffixes, for 1 chaos. That's a hell of a deal. Low evasion, because it is hybrid armor evasion. We are acrobatics, so we don't really get much from the armor. We'll keep going, because we're only at 1 chaos. What we can probably do is, we can look here, because these are pretty damn good for 1 chaos. 188 evasion. We can roll fire resistance onto it, obviously, that's our goal here. These are pretty good for 1 chaos, actually. But, you know, don't jump on the first willy you find. You want to keep going down the list. 3 chaos. These are already 4 socket, almost 4 length. I almost don't count for the 4 length, but 4 sockets, that does count. But again, I jumped ahead too soon. Too many suffixes, so that really doesn't help us much. It would be great if POE.trade allowed you to search by how many suffixes are open. But I don't think that's a search feature just yet. We're getting a lot of hybrid stuff here, so we're gonna bump this up to like 125. It looks like most of them were like see, it looks like most of them were right around there. So let's try to eliminate some of those and sort by currency again. Yeah, so we're getting more of the evasion gear. We're really gonna want over 200 just to make this easy, because our boots have 200. We want to at least match what we got. So sort. Alright, so this pair of boots doesn't count. So we'll keep going on our lot of boots here. So these all have suffixes, and that's a prefix. Boom, useless. You can tell those are useless because they have too many prefixes and suffixes. We're really only looking at the suffixes at this point, because that's all we really need to know. We need to know, are there open suffixes? So you look for an open S. Real simple. These are really good boots. These are really expensive boots, 30 chaos. For what they are, they're nice, but they're not even 4 socketed or 4 linked. So that's a little frustrating there. So these aren't the best. Okay, well, actually, you know, another thing I just thought of. What we can do is we can actually, since we need 30, we can craft 26 to 30 fire resistance. Cool. So what we can try to do now is do the reverse. We can try to remove lightning resistance, put in fire resistance. All we need is 10. Now what we do is search, and we're looking for an open suffix. That way we can craft the fire resistance on it. Sure, we have to like spend a little bit or have the RNG gods bless us with a 30% perfect roll, but you know, these boots are much cheaper if you look at this. 10 alterations, and yeah, nope, three suffixes. 3 suffixes there, 3 there. No. This one, yes, this one, it has an open suffix. 2 open suffixes actually. So it has 2 tier 1 prefixes. And then this one counts as a prefix because, like I said, as we found out before, it is a prefix roll when it's a hybrid. This one is a little bit better. Actually, this is insane. These are the boots we want. These are perfect because 400 evasion, that's sexy. The lightning resistance is you know, it's what we need, but we need more. We can scour that. We have the level 7 master that scours it. We can remove that and roll on the higher one. It might take a little bit of currency and a little bit of luck, like I said before, but this is the boots for us. So we're gonna whisper this guy. Bam. 2 chaos. If we can get this for 2 chaos, that's sick. Meanwhile, we'll admire my, look at this full alabaster armor set. Nice Seraph Sword, Radiant Shield. Look at this pet. This pet's sick. He's awesome. He's a good guy. He adds at least 2,000 fake DPS. That's pretty good. Okay, so we're getting our pair of boots for 2 chaos. As you can see, we're a little broke here. I spent about 1,100 fusings trying to get this thing up there. Yeah, no bueno. But we'll recover. Alright, let's see here. Give this guy the 2 chaos requested and accept his offerings. Do the nice little thank you for trade. That's what T4T means, by the way. Thank you for trade. In case you guys didn't know, the only thing that's left is to come over to the bench over here, remove the crafted mod, bang, scroll down to add fire resistance, I'm sorry, lightning resistance, and then bam. Ooh, we are the RNG gods! So, perfect. So now what that does is it adds 15% movement speed. We maintain our fire resistance and lightning resistance by going like blop, and we are golden. Look at that. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Would greatly appreciate it. If you have any comments or tips, leave them down in the comment section below. I do have a forum post now on the Path of Exile website, so you can go visit that and also leave any tips or comments if you got any there, or if you're from there. Either one, feel free. See you guys next week.